What was supposed to be a quick 4-day business trip to Dallas for Nicole Mathis turned into what she calls a traumatic experience upon her return home to Canada.
And before we left, and then we called the airport, we were checking up on regulations. We did our due diligence to make sure that we knew exactly what would be expected of us.
So while she was in Dallas, Mathis arranged for a doctor appointment to get a test done for her return trip.
When that doctor came in the room and said, "What kind of test do you need? Do you need this test or this test?" I was like, I don't know exactly which test does which. I just know that I have to have a test that proves that I am negative for COVID to get on this flight.
The doctor ended up giving Mathis the COVID antigen test, which detects specific proteins from the virus. But according to the Government of Canada website, what she actually needed was a COVID molecular test, which is known as a PCR test.
I get the test done. I go to the airport. The airline lets me on the plane, says that they didn't say anything wrong about my test.
What Mathis didn't know was that her antigen test wouldn't be accepted when she landed in Canada.
Your test isn't the right test. It's just an antigen test. And so we'll have to actually take you to a quarantine facility, which was like, what? That wasn't even on the radar.
In fact, it wasn't until the following day that Prime Minister Trudeau would impose the latest travel restrictions where everyone will be required to quarantine at a designated facility upon arrival in Canada.
They told us you're going to be going somewhere nearby and you'll have food, all these things, but they didn't say what it was and where it was. The health official escorted me to the van. I didn't know necessarily who was driving me or who I'm getting in the van with, but they took me to a nearby facility that at that point I was able to read the sign, and it was a hotel close by the airport.
The Mathises say all of this could have been diffused with a little communication.
If they would have said, this is where you're going, you're actually going to this hotel. You're going to be okay there. You're going to have everything you need. You're going to have a follow-up test. And as soon as it's negative,
miles from the hotel.
this is the address. You're going to be able to talk to your family. So everything I would ask, they would just deflect, which that's where my emotions got, really, up here, because my wife is there by herself, being escorted by the federal government to get there. It's not set up for just anyone to check into this place. It's wrapped with plastic on the front. They've got, medical hallways made up all through. And she was escorted to her room, to the fourth floor. There was a security guard in the hallway that would enforce her to stay there. And so, rights are stripped at that point, and which makes no sense.
For Bridge City News, I'm Jeannette Rocher.